I don't want to do.
Well, hello and a very warm welcome to the Andrew Eborn show here in the heart of Camden Market. It's lovely to see you on this glorious lunar moon. This is the Kung Hei Fa Choi. It's the Chinese New Year. Celebrating a start. Just had a fantastic Chinese meal right here in Camden. So however you're celebrating today, Year of the Snake. So that's got to be good. Let me know wherever you are around the world. As I say, we do these little walks every now and again. Whenever I pop out, I thought, well, go on, you can join me on my walk as I make my way back to Broadcasting Central. And it's always fun to see people along the way. This is Camden Market. If you haven't been here, fantastic. Everything is available. Every possible persuasion, every possible cuisine. It is the heart of cool. It's got to be hip to be cool. And I'll talk you along the towpath here, which has been used for many a movie. You can have a look along here. They have a lot of these boats that they use, that you have people stay on their barges, lots of houseboats. Quite an experience. You can actually live there. What a load of rubbish. It's such a shame when people do that, isn't it? That's such a fantastic walk along here and then people just dump all their stuff. Anyway, you can live by the river. You get quite a good view, although people are a bit worried about flooding, and we've had quite a bit of that at the moment. Lovely to join so many great people. Let's say, wherever you are in the world, let me know where you are. I'm currently walking along from Camden all the way back to Regent's Park and then home. Usual sort of broadcasting. A great week already. We had Errol Musk, as always, on the Andrew Eborn show. And if you haven't subscribed yet, do that. It's great. We have a growing, fantastic community. And we always say that online is the new frontline. And what I love about these live shows, it gives us an opportunity to find out a bit about you. What's important to you? Who would you like to see on the show? Who would you like to ask those questions to? And we get more and more people interacting, the more exciting it gets. Now, Camden itself, this particular area is always used for filming. My name is ? You could always be a good citizen and pick the rubbish up. Oh, that's a good point. That is a good point. I could, but there's so much rubbish. I'll be here all day. But that's you make an excellent point. They should point it out. I think sort of highlighting that sort of stuff is good. And a friend of mine actually does do that. Lisa Davis, who's been a PR for people like Michael Jackson and Leo Sayer now and Cliff Richard and all sorts of great people. She actually organises community people to go and pick up the litter. And I think you're right as a citizen. You're quite right. You make an excellent point. My name is ? And people should do that. It's a shame where people live. You should try and work that out. Do send that stuff. I think more we can call it out. Every community deserves to have a cleaner place. But Camden is a glorious area to live. The whole Regent's Park, the whole community here is fantastic. And this week we've been having great people on the show. We've had, let's say, Errol Musk is Elon's dad, is on virtually every day. And what I love about that is that we can unpack the different stories that there are about Elon. And there have been lots of false stories. There was an article in The Guardian which published and said all sorts of things about Elon and said all sorts of things about Errol. And so, to be fair, what I like is to say, well, okay, your side of the story. That's what we do. My only mistress, as I say, is the truth. And that's what we've been looking at, is having a look and saying, is there a way that we can check these stories out? And so I put a lot of those stories to Errol, and he said a lot of them were fake. Hello, my name is back again. I'm part of a litter community group in Ladbroke Grove. Oh, fantastic. Oh, well done. Well, congratulations. I say Lisa Davis also does that. So send us your pictures. My name is ? Great name, by the way. I love all that. And it's good. So how does that work then? Who takes part in the litter gathering stuff? Because it should also be the council. I guess if you highlight these sort of things along the way, then the council should be coming out and clearing the stuff out. But I think you're right. My name is ? You should be working as a community to try and pick that up. And I think the more we get that sort of community spirit, the more you say, this is my hood, we've got to look after it, the better it will be. So interesting stuff. But it's Ladbroke Grove's not so far from here. We like Ladbroke Grove, some fantastic people there. How long have you been down there? It's a great place to live. We like that sort of stuff. It's incredibly peaceful walking along here. What I always sort of say, people are very worried about obviously the cost of living and various other things. And there's so much you can do which doesn't cost anything at all. I mean, just walking out wherever you are, there's always those sort of things. And I always talk about people's mental health. And a lot of people who come on the show, we talk about how they cope, because we all have difficulties. There's all sorts of, somehow it's not right to say we're all in the same boat. I think we're all on the same ocean, but with different boats. That's probably a better way of putting it. But the reality is lots of people have different challenges and how they cope. A lot of them would sort of turn around and say, well, actually, just getting out in nature, coming to see the cows and how they've escaped from the fields, that makes a lot of sense. Just a group of volunteers. The more the merrier. I think we have around 60 people donating their free time. Oh, fantastic. Well, that's really good. So let us know how they can get in touch. I'll put people in touch. We should do a shout out for people who do the litter stuff. I think getting the idea of community spirit back. And I speak on, I have the joy on Talk TV, on the BBC, on LBC and Times Radio and all the different channels around the world. I have the joy of doing that. I think the more we can praise people who spend their time building up a community, the better. And I think that makes a lot of sense. Here we go. Make your own leather belts. A choice of leather buckle finish. 24 hours. £89. Free mailed belt. £54. Dog collar and lead. £98. Interesting. There you go. Haven't seen that before. Anyway, that's where you can do your own leather. Sounds a bit expensive, to be honest, but anyway, it's good for them. Well done for being enterprising. It's got to be good. But yeah, Ladbroke Grove and the litter people of Ladbroke Grove, wombling free. Well done, you. Fantastic. So let us know if people want to get in touch. How do they get in touch? My name is, and they can join your community. Happy to give a shout out to that. As I say, the good thing is, the great thing is about these online things is that we're forming our own little community. And I have the joy and privilege, actually, appearing on lots of different shows on a regular basis, on traditional media. But also what I love is that we get, with the online shows, we have more time to unpack a lot of those stories. And I do, a friend of mine pointed out that it's such a valuable platform that don't waste it. You've got an opportunity to make a difference. And part of that difference is to correct what's going on in the world at the moment. Because there's a lot. I always say that if you don't read the newspaper, you're ill-informed, and if you do read it, you're misinformed. Well, never has that been more true. We're living in a diseased information age where I always say, look, question everything. And especially with AI, we had the deep dive is looking interesting at the moment. You've got the Chinese new equivalent of ChatGPT, which has just been released, and that's just come out. They managed to do it for a fraction of the cost of apparently what it costs to the others. That's the big issue. So if you can do that, it means that the whole AI industry is going to be revolutionized. I tapped in Andrew Eborn. Who's Andrew Eborn? Quite a good description. Not that's fortuitous. Anyway, there's all life and death is between us. There we go. But the reality is exactly that. Is you basically turn around, and it's got that information, pretty accurate description actually. You did tap in. There's certain things that are restricted, however, a lot to do. So if you tap in, tell me about the Tiananmen Square massacre, for example. I'm sorry, I can't tell you anything about that. So, and the information I think is only up to a certain period. But this is, here we are. This is, as I say, they do a lot of the shooting here, a lot of the filming. It takes place on this very corner. Which it looks interesting on lots of basis. Now you have a choice. I can take you past the zoo, or I can continue on this route, or I can take you to the park, or I can do both, actually. Your choice. First person who says, so you get the call. But we'll take you along. I'll tell you what, we'll take you along the zoo. It's good choice on that sort of basis. And it's actually, surprisingly, a few days ago, it's absolutely freezing out here. It's now a lot better. Happy birthday to JP. I bet he's delighted. There you go. Happy birthday, JP. All looks good on that sort of premise. So what I love about this sort of side, as I say, if you haven't subscribed yet to the Andrew Eborn Show, do so now. It is completely free, and we've got an ever-growing band of members. Now, members get special privileges. They get access to picking up the litter in Ladbroke Grove community that they've got doing that. And I often say on the media, what we need role models now. You see all these things, you hear about this in the media and elsewhere. The principle is exactly that. What you need is some great people who can turn around and say, look, the world is a better place if you follow this lead. And little groups such as My Name Is, who get people together and they basically build a sense of community. So all praise to you. And about 60 people donating their free time to pick up litter. Well done. Let me know how they can get involved and how they can get in touch. I'll do a little shout out for you. You say you're down in Ladbroke Grove. Let me know. Is there an email address? Is there a website? How do they take part in that? Let me know. My name is. I'll give it a plug here on the Andrew Eborn Show. And whilst you're doing that, if you haven't subscribed yet, do subscribe. We have some fantastic show. And as I say, I have the pleasure of appearing on more platforms than Paddington, who are regular appearances on the BBC, on Times Radio, Talk TV, our friends at GB News since the very first year, but also channels around the world. And I'm going to be going to Cannes in a few weeks' time, where I'd be hosting at I present a lot of the shows down there, but also comparing. So I do the drama awards in Cannes, but I also, in addition to that, look at things like the big property festival. I'll be down there. If anybody who's going to be down there, let me know. Well, it's an allotment, they say. We have a community garden as well. There we go, an allotment. That sounds good. Truth stands alone. Better in landscape view. You're probably right. There you go. Orientation is locked. I had to locate it. Next time I'll do it in landscape view. The reason I do it this way is so people can watch on their phones. We get different people with different things. But next time, you're absolutely right. It is better in landscape. And the way we do all of the other shows are indeed landscape. Do check those out. Truth stands alone. Well, I tell you what, it's absolutely our mantra here, is that our only mistress, as we say, is the truth. And what I like about doing the Andrew Eborn Show and getting so many fantastic guests on, then that'll be good. Anybody who tells me London has no soul community obviously is a day tripper. You're right. We have a fantastic soul and community. And what I love about London, it's the biggest melting pot in the world. We welcome there are people who can basically, and I was involved with the 2012 Olympics. And Boris then, what are your views of him? He always used to make a speech. He was a good speech maker. And he always used to say that London is probably the only city in the world where we can welcome anybody from anywhere in the world with somebody from their own city in their own same language, with the same culture, same cuisine. And we should be supporting all of that. So well done, London. I know immigration is a issue, and it's the hottest issue in town at the moment. But London is such a glorious melting pot, and people who come here legitimately are absolutely welcome with open arms. And people always make the mistake. It's not turning around and saying it's racist to raise these issues. The whole point is that we do welcome people who come here legitimately. It's those who don't come legitimately, and that's the strain. My name is nobody in the zoo, but I used to have, because I live very close. Nobody in the zoo, but I used to have, because I live very close to here, I used to have to the zoo, so we could go every day and have a look. A great way to support them. And my mother, who I used to love animals, and she used to rescue many men. And so we basically sponsored a bench for her by the Tiger Cage. So you can go and see next time you're in London Zoo, have a look at that sort of side as well. My name is, let me know, come on. It's how do people get in touch if they want to get in touch, if they want to help with that litter thing as well. So coming up over the next few days, we've got more Unpacking. Errol Musk is on all the time. I say we've got lots of great people looking at different sides of life. Where do you want to go? You tell me. This is... we've got this one here. I can continue walking along here, or I can take you through the park there. Your name is exactly that. You can tell me your choice. Well, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll carry on walking along here. We walk a little bit further along here, because it's quite nice walking along the canal. Today is Chinese New Year, so Kung Hei Fat Choi. If you are going out to celebrate tonight, we will be celebrating. Actually, every day's a celebration. We love all of that. Regent's Park used to only have one dog back in the day. It was very good. Regent's Park used to only have one dog back in the day. It was Class the Shih Tzu. I thank you. There you go. My name is brilliant stuff. I tell you what, we should have my name is more regularly on the show. A fine bit of humour is good. So yes, you can go along the canal. What I love about it for people, there are lots of people who actually live on the houseboats, and you can live. You don't have to pay mooring if you move every 2 weeks. But a lot of people do mooring. That's the London Water Bus Company going along there. And I do think we should use our waterways far more. It won't let me paste the link. Sorry. Well, tell us what it is. Tell me what the link is. You don't need to paste it. I can just read it out. That'll be good. So this is my name is who's been keeping me company along this walk, telling me about the litter that they do down in Ladbroke Grove. And they've got a little community that picks up the rubbish, which I think we have this thing on a number of shows that I do called Britain's Greatest or Greatest Britain. And what we have there are basically people who do wonderful things for the community. And it sounds like the Ladbroke Grove people we should be singing their praises. Maybe I should pop down. We can do a broadcast from there sometime. But that's what I'm trying to do, is encourage people to have that sense of community, because the more we can do together, to make the world a better place, that's great. I'm always searching for good news stories. There's so much sad stuff in the news at the moment, appalling cases, and I've been unpacking a lot of those in the media. We had the terrible circumstances of the Southport murders, and we were unpacking that. What sort of society are we that we can create these horrible, horrible situations? And it sounds as though the information is coming out more and more. These were a sort of cry for help. Axel Rudakabana apparently phoned the authorities himself and said, look, I need help. I've got these terrible urges. Well, those sort of questions, what should have happened? What didn't happen? And I think we need to look at that side. And people always say, rather tritely, well, lessons will be learnt. Well, let's not do that. Let's learn those lessons. Let's actually show some action. And the biggest problem is about communication. And we always say that, trust comes in on foot, but leaves on horseback. And what I found is that a lot of these issues, if you have a vacuum, then basically people are going to fill that vacuum themselves. Right, here we go. My name it's called the Friends of the Grand Union Canal. The Friends of the Grand Union Canal. Do get in touch. Google it. Find out. There will be a link. My name was hoping to post that himself or herself. Is it a him or her, or them or they? Anyway, let me know that as well. But Friends of the Grand Union Canal, if you want to take part, I was showing a little bit later as we walked along the place here, that there's a lot of litter. And my name sort of wrote back and said, well, how do I pick it up? Well, great idea. And there's a group called the Friends of the Grand Union Canal, which does exactly that in my neck of the wood, not too far, Ladbroke Grove. So all credit to them. We'll get some of them on the show. Do get in touch. You can get in touch if you want to be on the Andrew Eborn show, or any other show that I'm on. You want to join me, do let me know. The best way of doing that is to start by subscribing to the Andrew Eborn Show, click on the YouTube link. It is, how good is that? That's got to make sense. So yes, if you want to take part in that, it's called the Friends of the Grand Union Canal, and they will give you all the bags, the litter picking up devices, and that sort of stuff. Now that's got to be worthwhile. And that means you can start paying back to the community to make that make sense. But yes, as I say, I'm looking for inspirational characters. We've got a lot coming up on the show over the next few weeks. I'm traveling around the world. I had the joy of presenting the Muckrakers. You might remember the Muckrakers with Andrew Eborn. And what we do is every single day we were unpacking the stories that have hit the headlines, which a lot of people in the media don't cover. And what we were able to do is to turn around and say, okay, let's look at this, let's make this make sense. And we get the experts on and have a look at that sort of side. And everything from 9/11 to the COVID inquiry to all these different things, JFK, all these sort of confidential information is now being released. Trump's made that very, very clear. So we unpacked a lot of that, so that sort of stuff. As my name points out, it's good to pay back. It certainly is. And I think that's right. I always make the point that what we need to do is it takes a village, they say, to raise a child. Well, we all have responsibilities to make sure that things are dealt with in an appropriate way. And so often we don't have that sort of side. And I think looking at organisations such as the Friends of the Grand Union Canal, who are doing great stuff in the community, that's got to be worthwhile. So if you'd like to get involved with that, do let me know. Also, let me know the other stuff as well to make that make sense. We have a lot of people on the show, a lot of really inspirational characters. My name is it true that Elon Musk's Cybertrucks have been deemed unworthy for the UK roads? Well, that's an interesting one. We should ask Errol about that. I haven't seen any, is the short answer. If you've seen one of those trucks on the road, we can have a look. I think they look great. I think Elon's plans for what's going to happen about revolutionising not just transport, but the health system, sending people to Mars. He's promised to do that, and Trump has said that he will support sending them to Mars. In fact, it was part of his campaign promise that he would do that before the end of this term. So let's have a look at that sort of side. But the robo-taxis, and I reported about that event, but also about not just the self-driving taxis, the cyber trucks and all that sort of stuff, but also the robots themselves. Would you have a robot in your home? I know a lot of people are very frightened about AI. Well, combine AI with a robot. I can tell you it is the future. I often speak around the world as a futurologist or a futurist, back to the futurist as we call it. Andrew Eborn's Back to the Futurist. And we look at that, and I can tell you that in the future, that's what's going to happen. We're going to have more and more people who will be basically kept company by these robots. Would you have one in your home? That's the question. Let me know about that. Anyway, those who are not familiar with Regent's Park, this is Winfield House. And when the American president comes over, this is where they stay. And I remember Trump was over a fairly recent time, and they turned around and said that basically we had lots of people protesting about Trump the first time, and they would come out here. My favourite sign when Trump was over here was, "We will overcome." We love it, nothing beats a mighty pun. So here we are, you can have a look at this. This is Winfield House. That's where they all come. As I say, the American presidents, I've had the joy of being in there for a number of occasions. And it's great to be invited. A number of people, I had watching the inauguration. Let me know what you thought about that. But basically, I unpacked that with Elon Musk's father. We were doing a broadcast, both watching it at the same time to make that make sense. And great time during the inauguration. My neighbour says, I read a story the other day about one that was impounded by the police in Dover for that very reason. Interesting, okay. Well, we'll find out about the cyber trucks. Would you have one? I mean, that's the interesting thing, because these things are coming. Driverless cars, these tremendous cyber trucks. Let me show you where we are. So this is Regent's Park at the moment. Let's have a look, and you can see that you are here. So this is just in the outer circle by Regent's Park. Okay, I'm back to work. Nice chatting with you. Enjoy your. Thank you so much for my name is for joining me here. If you do want to be part of the thing, it's called the Friends of the Grand Union Canal. Do subscribe to the Andrew Eborn show, and you'll be able to join me on these walks and also take part in the main shows that we do. Click that subscribe button now, and don't forget you can follow me at Andrew Eborn, at Octopus TV, on all of the usual platforms, more platforms than Paddington. If you've just joined us, I'm here in Regent's Park, the heart of London. They say that the parks are the lungs of London, and I can absolutely testament to that. It's fantastic to be able to get out in the open. And we always say that I want us to be the generation that talks about mental health so that the next generation doesn't suffer the stigma. Well, working out, and that's what a lot of the celebrities, the great and the good and the unwashed who come on the Andrew Eborn show, I often ask them about what they do to cope. Because if you prick me, do I not bleed? If you tickle me, do I not laugh? We all have issues, whether you're the richest person in the world or the poorest. Everybody has challenges. And I think it's really helpful, especially when people talk about how they cope. Let's recognize it's okay not to be okay. And working out how people cope. And one of the ways, many people say, is just by getting out into nature. It costs nothing just to have a walk, do that sort of stuff, and to find different people, glorious things that you can see. One magpie, one for sorrow, two for joy. There we are, two of them. Hurrah! It's got to be good. And squirrels and everything. So it is lucky, as I say, in the heart of London. We're very lucky to have lots of fantastic parks. I always take you around that. But I'm sure wherever you might be in the world, do let me know. Tell me your favourite places. Also, let me know how you cope. We had great interaction earlier. We had a big pile of rubbish down in Camden. And straight away somebody came out and said, look, hang about, we've got this community that we do at Ladbroke Grove where we all get together and we all help. We basically pick up that litter to make sure that as a community things are a lot better. Well, coming up in the next few days, I'll be back on Times Radio with the wonderful Rosie Wright. I do that regularly, where we basically unpack the stories of the day. So we'll go through the papers and what's going on, but try to find a sort of balance. There's obviously, the world is a fairly depressing place at the moment, but there's also some great things which are happening, and that's what we like to do, is have a look at that sort of side, find the good stories, the light and the shade, and unpack those as appropriate. And I have the joy of doing that with some of the best in the industry. We're also the Muckrakers with Andrew Eborn. That's going to be coming back soon. I did 100 episodes for TNT with our friends in Australia, with Mike and Jenny. I can tell you we're about to launch that again, so there is no escape. You're going to be able to find us, as I always say, on more platforms than Paddington. So if you haven't done it yet, well, please do subscribe to the Andrew Eborn show. It's everybody's favourite four-letter word. It is free. Hurrah! So click that button now. And if you want to become a member, well, members get exclusive access to some of the best content, some of the great historical stuff, and also priority access to some of the bits and pieces. So if you fancy supporting me, and fancy supporting free speech and your platform, do think about becoming a member as well. Do subscribe, that's free. But if you want to go that extra mile and be part of an ever-increasing community, then do click that subscribe button as well and become a member. There are different levels of membership. It's less than the price of a cup of coffee. You know, you can every day, it'd be great to have your company, and it costs virtually nothing anyway, but it's always good on that sort of basis. So coming up here to the central bit of the park, this is where they had the ducks, and a friend of mine called Tony Duckett, a great name, he used to be in charge of all the birds on the pond and the different lakes, and Tony Duckett's his name, and he used to, when we were younger, we could come in here and see the breeding program that they had to make that make sense. But they've got some glorious ducks on the thing, and in springtime you see all the little chicks and the cygnets, the baby swans, right here on the Central Park. It is brilliant. I'll show you, this is one of the nicest views. They often have, they come into the weather down here, so I've seen good old Carol, the wonderful Carol. She's been down here as well, see her of a morning, reporting from here in all weathers. I tell you what, a few days ago it was absolutely freezing, and this in Regent's Park was all frozen over. But you can hear the birds. There we go. How glorious is that? So this is Regent's Park, over 395 acres. The park and Primrose Hill are outstanding places to enjoy wildlife. There's nearly 1,400 recorded species. It's also the site of the metropolitan importance for nature conservation. And it's one of the best bird watching locations in London. There's been apparently 211 species have been spotted. There's also diverse plant species, about 400 plants, and records show there are more than 500 species of invertebrates, including 26 species of butterfly, more than 319 species of moth, and 72 species of spiders. How good is that? And they've got wonderful, and not only that, you've got 12 species of dragonfly and damselfly as well. So you can come and spot things here and just while away, sitting quietly. It's incredibly peaceful, and this is right in the heart of London. And that's what I love about it, is that wherever you are in the big cities around the world, there's always a little place that you can just go to unwind. And in these troubled times, I think this is the biggest thing when people, there we are, there's a robin over there. So people going through hard times at the moment, I think that's one of the things I would encourage them to do. Get out in nature if you can, just wander around and collect your thoughts. Quite fun when you do it with a few extra people as well, which is why I love doing these things and having you on board as well. As I say, if you haven't joined yet, do click that button now. Click subscribe, send us your comments. Over there is the biggest London mosque. And what I love about this part of London is that we have the American ambassador's residence. I showed you that earlier at Winfield House. We have the mosque, the biggest mosque. We have the Israeli ambassador's residence. We have virtually every embassy and their staff surround this particular area in Regent's Park. And it's one of the greatest communities that there is. This is the boating lake, so you can hire out your boats and go on the lake. It's a bit quiet this time of year. You see they're all in the middle, they've all got the little birds on them. But all of that is pretty cool. That'll be it then. Open April to October. That's the reason. There you go. Weekdays, 11 till 10 at weekends, and 10 at weekends till 1800 in April and May. I had to wait a few weeks before you can come and do that. But you can hire your boats here, which is quite fun. I had the great privilege of going to Japan on a regular basis throughout since the beginning of my career, and I was there again a few weeks ago actually, in October, at a place called Kichijoji. And Kichijoji is a fantastic place, amazing restaurants, amazing people, and it's the home of a lot of the gaming industry. And I'm working with Phoenix, where they're doing it's a joint venture between Dentsu and Bandai Namco, and some of the greatest names in gaming are all part of that, and I'm working with them. They're going to be doing an Andrew Eborn's Fake or Fact, I can tell you, computer game. I'm going to be turned into a manga We're going to have an anime character of Andrew Eborn. There is no escape. So you'll be able to get that game on lots of different platforms. And what I love, we always live in a very diseased information age, and that's what we say on that sort of basis. So it's great to be able to have a platform where we can dispel the incorrect information, and that's what I love about doing the show, is we can get people on the show who tell us the truth about what happens, the behind the headlines, and as I say, my only mystery is not coming from any angle at all, but just to basically get the truth from people. And that's what I like. So we get some great world exclusives where people break the news on that sort of basis. We had Charlie Mullins, who came on the show and talked about, he exclusively broke on the Andrew Eborn show. He said that he was going to be standing as a candidate for reform, shockwaves around the world. He said he was going to be coming back to the UK to do that. And not only that, he'd been asked specifically, especially by Nigel Farage. So there we have it. That was an exclusive. It is interesting. When I was a kid, we always used to come down and give bread to the ducks. Well, you're not allowed to anymore. Don't feed the birds. Apparently it harms wildlife, the environment, and encourage pests. But that used to be the fun thing. You used to go down with your... I remember to go with my grandparents. You go to the local lake and the local park, and we would feed the ducks. Well, apparently it's bad for them. I don't know how they discovered that. But for years we used to feed the ducks. But apparently they don't want it anymore because all gets left and it's very bad for them. So anyway, these look pretty healthy. But I think they get their own food and everything else, which is apparently much better for them. But certainly that used to be one of the highlights of my childhood. I don't know about you. One of the highlights of my childhood was going to the parks and feeding the ducks, which is fascinating. So coming up over the next few days, say we've got more platforms than Paddington. We've got lots of fantastic guests. We're unpacking all the latest news stories. So if you haven't subscribed yet, now's the time to do it. Please do subscribe to the Andrew Eborn show on Octopus TV. It is completely free to do so, and you'll be joining this amazing community that we're getting. Lots of great people on the show all the time. Plus, if you want to become a member, well, for next to nothing, the price of a cup of coffee, if you fancy buying me a coffee or something stronger, I really appreciate that as well. You can become a member of the Andrew Eborn show, and you'll get access to all sorts of extra material that others don't. But as I say, if you don't have the money, you can't spare a few quid, then you're very welcome just to subscribe for free, because it's great to have as many of you on board as possible. So we're just rounding up here. This is just by Baker Street. I've walked you all the way from Camden down here. And I say it's one of my favourite parks, possibly in the world, because we have a theatre here, we have the zoo, we have the Japanese garden. Photographers come here. You've got one in front of us. We'll come and take pictures of the amazing wildlife. And what I also love, as I say, it's one of those sort of areas where you can just unwind. And I come out very, very early in the morning, and you're always welcome to join me for that on my walks. We do the morning show. Do come along for that as well. And as I say, if you haven't done it, please click that subscribe button now. And don't forget, you can follow me at Andrew Eborn, at Octopus TV on X. We're also on Substack now. We're also on Rumble. We're also on virtually everything, Instagram. I say, it works on that sort of basis. Wherever you normally consume your content, we will be there. There is no escape. And that's the great thing about it. It's, as Elon points out, we are the media now, and I think that's the key thing. And whilst I do appear on lots of different platforms, and delighted to do so, I work with some of the best people in broadcast, but it's an evolving industry. I've been in broadcast virtually all my life, certainly all of my working career, both in front and behind the camera, doing deals and brokering rights. And it's a fascinating community, and you will always find that people pop up somewhere. So the world is changing. It's not just about television now. And there was a discussion that we were having very, very recently is television dead? Well, I think television is just a technology, isn't it? It's just the way that you consume your content. It's a device. And the way that people consume their content now is very different. You get them on your mobile phones, you get them on your all sorts of different technologies. Online is the new frontline, as I say. So it's more a question of sort of turning around and saying, this is what we need as a principle. This is how you get your content. So focus on the content. Content is king, queen, and everything else in between. And I think the reality is that. So look at that sort of side rather than the devices. But one of the discussions we had, the Royal Television Society, I had the honour of doing the podcast for the RTS London, and as well as doing various other things, including in Cannes. And we were talking fairly recently about whether they should include gaming in part of their remit. And certainly if you look at some of these game engines, they're used for the production of feature films and various other things as well. And it seems to make sense that we should recognise the amazing gaming talent. And as I say, the focus should be on content rather than the way that we deliver that content. Certainly where tech and creativity combine, that's certainly worth looking at. And for many years I've been doing that session, including down in Cannes, and especially during lockdown, where we looked at the fusion between tech and creativity, how both industries support each other, and how they're absolutely essential that we have that sort of side. If you are involved in the tech industry and need that bridge with creativity, that's what we were providing. If you understand how the technology works, you can see how you as an industry can benefit from that technology. And that's what we've been looking at, is basically flattening the learning curve. And I speak around the world as a futurist, back to the futurist, I thank you. And it really is explaining the tremendous opportunities that there are for people at the moment in all sorts of industries, but also working on the premise that if you don't understand what's going on, then you're going to get left behind. And I always say that the principle is it's a phenomenal tool. And I talk about AI. I want to put the AI into Britain, but artificial intelligence is front and center every single day. There is a story about AI and the seismic changes that are happening as a result of what's happening. Tremendous advances in medicine, in basically automating a lot of the boring functions and so on and so forth. And every possible industry is going to be touched by AI. So what I do, I speak to lots of different nationalities, lots of different companies around the world in all sorts of sectors, and help them understand what AI can do for their particular industry. So if you're interested in that, do get in touch, contact me, Andrew Eborn, as I say, on that sort of principle. And we'll look at that, we'll look at how it works, but also warning about the risks. I always say it's our greatest opportunity, but potentially the biggest existential threat. And what we need to look at is understanding the really ways that you can harness the power of new technology. And the best way is actually to use it as a co-pilot. If you understand what's going to happen, you make sure you're not left behind. You make sure that you do get on that sort of principle and kept appropriately. Well, look, we're just about finished here in the park. I'm going to be making my way back to the studio. It's been a real pleasure having you joining me on the walk. Just before you do go, and before I go, please do click on the subscribe button now. It'd be lovely to have you on board. If you've got suggestions for guests, suggestions for questions, as always, just let me know. I've been Andrew Eborn. You have been fantastic. Do follow me on all the usual platforms. AE@octopustv.com if you want to send me an email. You can also follow me on Twitter @Andrew Eborn, @Octopus TV. But for now, thank you for joining me. Have a fantastic afternoon. Kung Hei Fat Choi. Happy Chinese New Year.